I started watching these really old episodes of Jeopardy. I think you can stream them on Netflix or Hulu or something like that.
Really?
And it's so funny. It's like the very first season.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing how much has changed, but also how much is exactly the same.
Yeah, I would be shocked with the stuff that's changed because it's like one of those formats that's just timeless.
Yeah. A lot of it is still the same. A lot of it, you're just like, wow, I can't believe they've been doing that for 30 years.
And it's profitable. 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years later.
Like the very first season, for example, I know we're about to start, but the very first season, they didn't make the contestants wait for the question to finish being read. They cut right in while Alex was reading the question. And in the beginning of the second season, they said, we got some feedback from our viewers and they would like us to finish. They would like me to finish the question to give them time in their own heads to try to answer the question. So then that's why from the second season on, the question had to be finished
before you could say something.
Before anybody could buzz in. So
I kind of liked the shock value of someone already knowing the answer before you even know what they're asking about, right?
Yeah.
It's
always really crazy when somebody.
Not as easy to play along at home, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right, exactly. I mean, especially with Jeopardy, I'm always like, okay, he said, wait, the answer is already there. I have the hardest time with it. All right, Micah, I'm going to practice my starting us off.
Excellent. I was going to ask you to do that, so that's great.
I did it last week, and I think from now on, I'm going to be doing it. So we are going to do the name of the show, the date, and tell everybody who's here.
Do the date, name, and you can switch it up. If you want to go wild, you can do, it is Friday, I don't know what date it is, Friday, July 12th. And guess what? This is the iMore show. I'm switching it up. If you want.
Whatever I want.
It's whatever you want. This is now, you are being given the mantle.
I don't want the mantle.
Well, sadly.
It's there anyways. You pick it up or it dies.
The gauntlet has been dropped and you must pick it up.
Yeah, it's like the Olympic torch. Like it has to be carried to the whatever that final thing.
Lori's like Jon Snow. I don't want it.
Yeah, you are.
I don't want it.
But I don't want it.
You know nothing, Lori Gill.
I can't. All right, let's get this going.
Accent, sorry. You know nothing.
You know nothing, Lori.
That was great. That was much better than mine. All right.
My British name, you have to stretch out that O a little more. It's Lori.
Lori.
Yeah, Lori. You got to stretch that O out.
She's like Scottish, that woman.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They're really married in real life. Sorry, I apologize. I totally
perfect interruption time.
Sorry, it was really good too.
I know. My today was really good. All right. Today is Friday, July 12th, 2019. Today we'll be talking about the 12-inch MacBook and a couple of MacBook updates, walkie-talkie, Zoom, and all of its problems, and a whole lot more, because this is the iMore Show. Joining me today is the caramel-voiced Micah Sargent. How are you doing today, Micah?
I am doing quite well, Lori. Thank you so much.
Have any big things coming up?
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. I recently announced that I am joining the TWiT network, This Week in Tech, as a host and producer. So I'm in the midst of a move to your fair part of the United States.
Congratulations on such a huge new career change that I think is just absolutely perfect. I think anybody who's listening to the show right now absolutely agrees that you are perfect for podcasting. And I'm so excited that this is your full-time career going forward. So congratulations. And you're going to be really close to me now. So I'm very excited about that too.
Me too. Every time I was
And
driving past and I would see Sacramento this way, and I was like, oh, thinking of Lori.
it's not that far. It's, depending on traffic, it can range between an hour and 40-minute drive to a 4-hour drive. And also joining us today is the lovely Georgia Dow. Welcome to the show, Georgia.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. I apologize for the mess. We did camping and I still haven't cleaned it up. So it's still like I just closed the room and the mess disappeared in my mind.
I like that.
Until you suddenly had to show the entire world that room.
I know. And then I went, oh,
The mess is back.
So you went camping? Is that all your camping? Is that like boxes of camping
That's like
stuff in the
camping gear.
backpack?
So these are like fold up mattresses that we put into the tent because when you sleep, when you're camping, it's not that comfy, but the fold up mattresses fit well in the car and they fit on the inside of the tent wonderfully. And so we sleep pretty well.
Did you use your top tip, your bottle and iPhone top tip?
You know what? I actually didn't because we drank all the water and then we left it outside and then we were so exhausted we just went to sleep.
Gotcha.
So I didn't any of our camping tips, Micah, that we went through. But they're still great tips.
Do you use any kind of technology for camping? Like, do you have one of the? I have a BioLite camp stove. So, do you use any kind of like actual tech gear while camping?
We do. We have a solar cell charger case. It's a case that it's like a really large, like folio case kind of thing that we bring out with us to be able to charge all of our tech just in case the electricity goes out. But we brought fans that we put into the tent to keep it nice and cool and ventilated, which is the bomb. We got 2 fans that circulate the air, and even though it's like cooking, our tent is nice and chill and wonderful.
Convection stove.
Yeah, exactly. Convection cooling
I like
in the
Nice.
tent.
Nice.
So we always bring that. We bring our phones. We bring some extra charging cases just in case we need to. And then I do the old school flint and steel and.
Ooh.
Nice. So you don't use technology to start fires. You go analog with it.
It was misty, so I ended up using a lighter to start the fire after I gave up on it. I felt a little bad, but
I've always
at least
wanted
you
to
tried.
start a fire. Yeah, I've always wanted
really
to
wet.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to use a stick, to be honest. That was my thought. But it was
yeah.
so damp. It rained every single day that it was so damp. I'm like, I'll be here for 4 hours.
Right. We just need a fire.
And I'm cold. And I was like, you know what? I can do this on another day, get practiced in my fire making skills.
Yeah.
Respect.
So I'm not getting the badge yet.
No, yeah, you still got some work to do on your fire badge.
But
that's pretty great.
Earth, she has heart. She has what are the other ones? Wind, air,
water?
Right.
Water. Yeah.
Right. I have the other ones. And I would love to hear from other people. Like, message me if you know some great tech that you have to bring camping, because we love camping. We're waiting for our cinch tent. Hopefully it actually shows up, which is like this new pop-up tent, cool tech tent that's been delayed in customs. Hopefully it's really showing up.
Oh,
that's frustrating.
And,
I have recently from Life Proof. They recently put out a cooler backpack. It's not tech, but Life Proof is a like a case maker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they make a backpack that's a cooler. It's got no tech on it, but I can fit a 12er in a backpack, and it's like it rests on my shoulders, so it's not extra weight. And we always where we camp, we always like to find a body of water nearby that we would walk to. So you shove some snacks and some drinks, and one little ice pack, and it keeps everything cool while you're on your trek. And you can crack a cold one while you're sitting by the water, and it's great. I love it. So
that sounds lovely.
That's my non-tech gear that I recommend.
That everyone would appreciate that, though, because if you want something cool to drink, even if you're just drinking water or you have sandwiches, you want to keep it cool. And when that's one of the worries is food's spoiling as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want your fried chickens to actually still be cold. And there's lots of different, like we have a couple of friends that have cooler bags, right? So one of them, it's like a tiny ice chest. It only holds about 6 beers. And another friend has like a shoulder bag, but this was the first time I'd seen an actual like both shoulder backpack version. And I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there, but I picked the Life Proof one just because I thought it was kind of funny that Life Proof was making a backpack. So, so I went for it. And yeah, like a cooler bag, and especially backpack style is great because you can, in a backpack, you can like pack in a lot of heavy stuff, and it's not as weighty. And if you're climbing around, you know, crawling down rocks or crossing streams, you know, you get unbalanced if you have a single shoulder thing. So having the backpack is pretty nice.
The other thing that we use is we have hats that have LED lights that go on the frame of the hat, like the little, and so you just press a little button. That reminds me, I have to actually recharge. I have to get a new battery for one of them, and the light aims down, and it has 3 different settings of brightness. So while you're walking, you won't trip. While you're making a fire, having to do something, your hands are free. You can always get the big headlights, but those are really bright and really overpowered. It annoys the other campers that are in the area. And I often find I want to just carry my hat instead of carrying something that makes me look like I have a third eye. Right. And so I'm already needing a hat anyways because I don't want to get too much sun. And this then at night, you just click, 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 and you have your light on. It's really wonderful. Yeah. They're an investment that will just keep on giving because you'll have your hat out and then you'll be nighttime. And you'll be like, oh, actually, click, and you're there. If I want to go out into the garden, I'm like, oh, I have my light on my hat already.
I would use that in my house if I need to work on my car or something.
Look it up on Amazon. It's a really cool, you look cooler than
the giant like miners headgear that they wear while they're picking away at diamonds or something.
Yes, that's what they're all doing.
There's gold in them there hills.
Oh, I would be there with them.
Now that we've talked our tech tips for camping, that was pretty nice. It was good.
Segment,
yeah, it's a good time of the year for it. Except for apparently you guys have rain where you camp, so I don't know.
Yeah, but get a good tarp.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's what Survivor taught me.
So another big thing that has come up, or the first Apple related that we're going to talk about, is earlier this week, Apple decided that they were no longer going to sell the 12-inch MacBook, but they did upgrade the MacBook Pro and MacBook Air. So I thought we could talk a little bit about that. First of all, let's talk about the fact that there's no MacBook right now. It's gone. No MacBook.
Goodbye, MacBook.
Does anyone use? Because I have one. I have the 12-inch. I have the rose gold. It's beautiful. But I kind of understand why they're getting rid of it. Is that horrible to say? I love it. I love it. I use it. I bring it with me everywhere. This is my main home computer, which I don't really do anything with, but surfing the web, writing emails. Like I don't. It's beautiful, but maybe not the most
practical,
smart laptop. Like you can't really. Yeah, not the most practical and not the most, fast, but it's beautiful. It's lightweight. It's easy. And so they're getting rid of my baby. But then I was like, I get it.
When the MacBook Air was updated, I got this like sense of almost confusion of like, well, what's the MacBook? I kind of thought that way of like in this lineup, there's Apple, it kind of like clearly delineates like this is for this type of user, this is for this type of user, and this is for this type of user. And the MacBook Air seemed to like provide everything that you needed in that sort of mid-range thing, which to me made the MacBook sort of like okay, what is this for now? And I just assumed that that this year they would like update the MacBook base, and that would be, okay, now it all makes sense as to like the Air would be the super inexpensive one, and then the MacBook would be the middle of the road one, and the Pro would be the Pro one. But unless they bring it back, I mean, it doesn't mean just because they're not currently selling the MacBook anymore doesn't mean that they're not going to bring it back someday. I mean, I thought the iPad Air was gone forever, and they brought that back. So it's totally possible that they will, but at the moment, there's no place for the 12-inch MacBook or just the MacBook line right now. So it does make sense that they were just like, okay, we're gonna pull this off the shelves, and maybe they're working on, we've got all kinds of rumors about different sizes of MacBooks coming in the future, and when as 2020 comes around, or even later, they might find a new home for that mid-range one that actually is maybe more expensive than the Air, but less expensive than the Pro, and has like the middle of the road features, but is also thin, and all the other great stuff that's going on with it. So Micah, did you ever have just the base MacBook, not an Air or a Pro?
No, I think that I've never had anything other than a Pro of the MacBook line. Certainly there are people who, as the kids say these days, stan the MacBook, and especially for people who are on planes a lot, I think, or who do a lot of traveling, and the most they're doing is just sort of going back and forth between email and simple stuff. So I think,
basic,
yeah, someone described it before as like the iPad, not iPad Pro, but iPad of Mac.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of processing power, but if you're not using it to have to do that, it's light, easy to carry, good for portable. It's, bringing it around with you.
Yeah. And so for me, no, that was not my jam. I've always needed more power than that for the different things that I did. And also it just felt too expensive for what it offered. And I mean, I have monster hands, and I tend to carry, if I'm going to go somewhere with stuff, I want to bring a backpack and everything. And so that portability, the sacrifice of screen real estate and stuff like that, didn't make sense for me. I want to have 15-inch screen. I want to be able to have that space. And so it was not made for me, and that's okay. It was, there are some people out there who it was made for, and I'm sure that they, like I said, they stay in it. They continue to be very happy with it. But for me, it's not my style of laptop. So to see it disappear and be replaced by Apple's sub $1,000 machine, I am excited about, for the fact that when someone asks me, who I know is more on the penny pinching side of things, what kind of laptop they should get, what kind of Mac laptop they should get, I finally do have an answer for them. So that feels good.
So then to segue, because of what you just brought up, the MacBook Air has dropped in price to just a little bit above $1,000. It's now at $1,099. It was at $1,199. So it is also only $999 for college students. So if you've got a friend who's in college, hit them up. Which makes it the price point. That $999 is the price point. When the MacBook Air came out, everyone was expecting it to be that low. Renee, if he were here, would remind everyone that when the MacBook Air first came out, it was significantly more expensive than $999. So the fact that it came out originally at $1,199 is not a surprise. And though it hasn't, to the general public, made it to $999, it's close, and we may even see it fully drop to the $999 price tag at some point, because it didn't take them long to drop it from $1,199 to $1099, and then $999 for college students. So that's a really great thing. They've updated. So the MacBook Air has a update to the Retina display that it now supports, or it now has True Tone, which is the feature that adjusts the screen to just slightly to be more ambient to the room that you're in. A lot of our devices now use True Tone, and it's a nice little feature that it just, if you're outside in the bright light, it's a slightly wider, slightly brighter screen. When you're indoors, it might just get the tiniest bit of a yellow tinge. Obviously, there's some people who don't want to use True Tone, and they would rather turn that off. There's the ability to turn it off. But if you're not, doing graphic design or photo editing, then True Tone is just a nice little, and it's nice on your eyes. It's a good thing to have. And so they also dropped the non-Retina MacBook Air. So the only MacBook Air that you can get now is the Retina with True Tone. And then they also upgraded the MacBook Pro for 2019 and dropped the price of it. So they added the 8th generation quad-core processor, and they also got rid of the MacBook Pro 13-inch that did not have a touch bar. So now every MacBook Pro comes with a touch bar. You can't get it without unless you buy it third party or find a refurbished version. And the price of that also dropped to $12.99 from $13.99, and for college students, $1,199. So these are the new. Oh, and it has the new T2 security chip in the 2019 model. The 13-inch MacBook Pro has that. So these are the changes that were just made. So we got rid of the MacBook. We got a slight upgrade to the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and a price drop at the same time. So I was thinking with the fact that we were just kind of talking about what the MacBook, who that's for. And I wonder with iOS 13 sort of positioning the iPad as very, very close to being full computer replacement. I mean, it's not just me that's saying this. We're hearing it around the blogosphere a lot. A lot of people who are using, who are beta testing the iOS 13 or iPad OS 13 have made those kinds of comments that it's much closer to actually being a full-on laptop computer type tablet. So do you think maybe they decided to pull away from the MacBook because they've got the iPad is now an 11 or 13-inch version of a MacBook?
Ooh, Georgia, you first.
Well, I think that in the end, it probably came down to numbers. They probably looked at all the numbers and this fills the same niche and they don't need to. I think that it's good for them to kind of streamline, like they take a look, send everything out and then streamline. What do people buy? What do people use? What could be used? And kind of, I like your idea, Lori, of them kind of replacing it and placing the iPad as that device that you have in that price point. And it's interesting because I use the MacBook and my husband for the same services does use his iPad. I don't, because I like for me, I like it that it's light, portable, small, because I'm small and I can just bring it around everywhere. And it's kind of my just move it around, doesn't really matter computing, versus my husband will take it and he uses the keyboard and it is vastly heavier with the keyboards that I'm like, what is the benefit for me for that? That's my feeling on it. And I don't know. I don't like that experience. He loves that experience. That is his main experience. And so we do actually use for the same, those two devices for the same type of thing. So that kind of gives a little bit of validity to your idea of it being replaced for that. So yeah, maybe so.
What do you think, Micah?
Micah went, things that make you go,
I just don't know. I think, yes, absolutely. There is, this idea that the iPad is at a level where it can replace a MacBook. And for a lot of people, that is the case. They don't need, in fact, my partner was just talking about, I don't need another MacBook when mine goes out. I'll be fine with an iPad. And especially when I don't have it near me, but with the keyboard, it's got a keyboard case and then you pretty much have a laptop there. So I think that, yes, that's the case for some people, but I don't know if I see Apple being forthright about saying that, because every time they do, the loudest people in the audience, the people who really pay attention to Apple and talk about Apple all the time, get a little upset when they hear about their precious Macs not being given as much attention as the iPad and other devices. So while I see it being a factor externally and sort of by osmosis, maybe is the right way to put it, I don't think that I see Apple saying precisely, forget the Mac. We don't care about it anymore. Let's just have everybody buy iPads. The closest they'll come are those commercials they did about like, what's a computer, or however, I can't remember exactly what those commercials were, but whatever that was. And it's like, who needs a computer in these modern times? Oh my stars, we've got iPads now. So yeah.
And if you, when you think about how polarizing the idea of an iPad as a computer replacement is, even when iOS or iPad OS 13 comes out, if Apple came out and said, you don't need a MacBook, here's an iPad, then everybody would say, the iPad could never be a computer, which is what they've been saying all along. And even with the changes, there's still some things that are, they're just not conducive to computer use. So it would definitely put them, if they keep their mouth shut and a bunch of people, us in the tech world just start saying, we don't need a MacBook because we have the iPad on iPad OS 13 and it's a total replacement. Then like we did the marketing work for them. They don't need to come out and say that or kind of like make any kind of official statement on it.
I agree.
So I have to address the elephant in the room. I'm getting some construction done on my house.
I thought someone was breaking in. I was like, someone's breaking in, Lori. Maybe we should send some signals.
I honestly had this picture in my mind of like just this toddler running up and down stairs over and over again. That's what I was thinking it was.
Oh, we all go to a different place.
Yeah. I love all of these things. So I do have to apologize to people listening right now, and Jim, when you are editing this, I'm sorry. I didn't know that they were going to be here this early, and we had already started by the time they were banging on the roof. So I'm doing my best to cut it out of the live feed, but it's going to be there for the recorded audio. So thank you for your patience, and I apologize for every bit of banging that you hear. There are no children running up and down stairs, and there is not a mob of people outside banging on my door trying to get in.
Then what is the one? Yeah. Oh dear.
So did you hear about about walkie-talkie, which, by the way, remember when walkie-talkie was first announced and I was so excited about it?
Yes,
I was even making jokes about how I was
Yeah.
going to buy them for Apple Watches for my friends because I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Have any of you used it more than maybe once or twice when it first came out or when it was first out of beta?
See, my mom and I tried to use it. Well, I'm glad, Georgia. I'm looking forward to hearing about like your continued use. I showed it to my mom. She had I gave her an Apple Watch that I had, sort of gifted it to her, and she was super excited about walkie-talkie. And so, I said, "Oh yeah, I'll use it with you for sure." And we were going to use it, but because I am impatient and want to run betas and see how they work and all that kind of stuff, I think that had been the issue. Basically, the betas were causing the connection not to be made. And so I was kind of like, it was sad because it was a revitalization of that excitement that I had for walkie-talkie, where before I didn't necessarily have a use for it, but having her be excited about it. And, we had been in like a store one time, and it was my grandma and I walking together, and my mom was in some other part of the store. So I was just going to walkie-talkie her really quick and say, "Oh yeah, where are you?" And it wasn't working. And so that was upsetting. But I still like the idea of it. I think that there is a good space for having a quick conversation back and forth in that way. And Georgia, it sounds like you still use it.
We do, but just for that use case that you just mentioned, Micah, is stores. So, we're with the kids. The kids have their Apple Watches, and so we can just, like my husband can be like, hey, like without me having to answer, without me having to say something, "Hey, we've moved to this aisle," and it's just like this quick little verbal message. Now, you're absolutely right that they have connection issues. It doesn't have great sound quality all the time, so it's like, which is a little bit annoying at times, but it gives me the heads up of they're moving, there's something happening, and I can hold my bags. I don't have to answer, press a button, do anything. And for store use, I love it because I can keep on doing my shopping. I know where everyone is. If I need to find them, come on back. We're heading to checkout, and I don't have to do anything. I get the message and I keep on going. And for that, I absolutely love it. But that being said, I love it, but I don't want everyone else being able to eavesdrop in on my very exciting life that I have here. So,
your wonderful shopping experience. So, Georgia, what you're speaking to is that on yesterday, actually, Apple has turned off the walkie-talkie feature in watchOS 5. Here's the statement that was sent to TechCrunch. We were just made aware of a vulnerability related to the walkie-talkie app on the Apple Watch and have disabled the function as we quickly fix the issue. We apologize to our customers for the inconvenience and will restore the functionality as soon as possible. Although we are not aware of any use of the vulnerability against a customer, and specific conditions and sequences of events are required to exploit it, we take the security and privacy of our customers extremely seriously. We concluded that disabling the app was the right course of action, as this bug could allow someone to listen through another customer's iPhone without consent. We apologize again for the issue and any inconvenience. So this is actually not entirely unlike the issues that we came across that when Apple temporarily disabled group FaceTime. If you recall, at the time, it allowed users to listen in on to somebody via FaceTime before they actually picked up and responded. So if you weren't near your phone, let's say when you were when a group FaceTime call was triggered, that group of people could just kind of continue to hear what you were saying for a short period of time. They disabled it temporarily, fixed it, and then re-released it, and that's not the case anymore. But this seems like it's a similar situation where, in this case, it sounds like a user can walkie-talkie to your iPhone and actually accidentally or maybe intentionally listen in on you in the room on your phone. And again, they've disabled it and will fix it before they release it again. So what I think is interesting and very smart on Apple's part is that they didn't wait for this vulnerability to make it out by somebody else. I can't remember the original way that it was discovered. Am I thinking of a different?
It was through the security portal. So we don't know that it was actually exploited or used in the wild, and then Apple got it. It seems to be that this was a tip that someone sent them, and they took care of it right away. Even though that gives them it gives them bad press. But I love that Apple first makes sure that before anyone could use this, they're going to fix it. It's going to be taken care of. Hopefully we get it back. Like, that's always my worry of when they fix something, because I don't think it's probably the most popular of, like, as you said, Lori, earlier, like, probably very few people are still using this. It has like a few great use cases, like Peka's use case is my use case, which is the funniest thing. So I wonder if other people are also, it's great for stores.
That's the use case right there.
Yeah.
We use it in stores, and that's it. Nobody has any other reason for it.
It's great in stores. And so I worry that we're not going to get it back, and I hope that we get it so that the connectivity issues, which it does have, it seems once you're kind of connected, it will stay connected. But when you first get it to be connected, it causes a little bit of a problem. So hopefully they'll fix that too, and then give it back to us, because I think that it could be, like, I don't want to lose it, even though I don't use it very often.
I kind of forgot about it. One of the main problems that I have with it is that there are very few people in my life that I feel that we're comfortable enough dropping in on each other like that. That's something that you do with your husband or your children or your parents. And my significant other doesn't have an Apple Watch. He's kind of a tech curmudgeon. I convinced him about 2 years ago now to get a smartphone. That was the first time he'd ever had a smartphone.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a whole show in itself. If you're techie and you're with a non-techie, what is that like? I'm going to ask a whole bunch of questions later. I'm sorry, but wow,
it's pretty funny. So my mom does have an Apple Watch, but she has, I can't even remember which one doesn't support watchOS 5. Is it 0? That doesn't support watchOS 5.
I think Series 0, yeah.
And so she doesn't have walkie-talkie. She's the one person that I would do that with, like, because that I know of my friends that have Apple Watches. She'd be all on board with that. We FaceTime each other all the time.
That'd be so cute, your mom.
Yeah. So maybe I need to buy her an Apple Watch for Christmas or something, and then we'll be okay.
When you upgrade your watch,
give her my old one. Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I did.
Yeah. I keep them though because I run betas on them, so
That's
I'm
fair,
not.
yeah.
I don't have enough extras right now at this point to pass along an old one because I have a Series 0, which doesn't support watchOS 5. So what's the point of that?
Yeah.
And then I have a Series 2, which is the one I run the beta on, and then the Series 4, which is on my wrist right now. So
Right. No,
so
I do get it.
One more year, and then I'll be passing along something to her. So I was saying that. I think that with a little better marketing, I might have remembered that walkie-talkie was a thing, and with my friends that maybe have recently got an Apple Watch that I'm pretty cool with, and we could probably do that. I might have said, let's try it. Let's walkie-talkie. I have a couple of close friends that, like, on occasion, I think we probably could walkie-talkie each other and it wouldn't be awkward.
Yeah.
So
you can disable it
if
you can do it for like a period of time. You're camping or you're in a
I didn't even
store
know that.
or whichever way you might use walkie-talkie, and then you can disable it afterwards. So you're not like, it's not like you're busy at a romantic dinner and then your friend's like, "Hey, boo, what's up?" And in the
Hey, boo.
So you can disable it afterwards, and the watch will remind you with a little tiny annoying yellow dot that it's on, which I didn't know what it was. I'm like, "Renee, why is this yellow dot constantly? I keep on thinking I have some strange message." It's like, because you still have walkie-talkie on. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that'd be bad if my hubby messaged me during session. He knows when I'm at work, so he doesn't. But
You don't want to know what word I thought you were about to say. So just in case anybody's listening and wonders whether you have walkie-talkie enabled or disabled, if you want to enable or disable it, swipe up from the bottom of your screen and then scroll down. It's the control center on Apple Watch. And there's a little thing that looks like a tiny, almost like a pop figure version of a walkie-talkie. And then you would just tap that to either turn it on or turn it off. So.
And does it turn it off with everyone that you have it enabled with? Because I've never had it with multiple people. And so can you disable a certain person, like Mom, right now you're going to be disabled and I still want to keep this person, Bob, enabled?
Bob.
And
Good old Bob.
Good old Bob.
So,
the thing is, I think I just said that I don't use walkie-talkie anymore. So
right.
I actually don't know yet, but I'm looking now to see the features available for walkie-talkie.
I don't even have my watch with me. I left it upstairs. Talk about.
Yeah. So it doesn't look like you can set.
Well, mine's on the beta, so I don't know if it's...
Oh, you see, there we go. Good, Georgia.
Yeah. So I am not on the beta, and from the features that I am looking at, it doesn't look like you can allow certain people through. Like, with Do Not Disturb, you can allow certain phone numbers to get through anyway. It does not look like that's possible with walkie-talkie in watchOS 5 and iOS 12. So I don't know what iOS 13 and watchOS 6 does though.
See, it shows me the different on the phone. It shows me the different people in my contacts that are there, but it doesn't allow, I only have one. And so because of that, I don't know if I could
David Heritage in the chat says it's not a drop-in feature. You have to accept each session one at a time.
I can remove contacts from the phone.
Right. But then do you really want to do that if you wanted to just do not disturb your walkie-talkie?
Yes. Yeah.
For an hour, are you going to delete your mom from that just for the hour and then oh shoot, I forgot, and then forget to put her back in? So
yeah.
Interestingly, when I try to connect,
you're all out.
When I try to connect to my mom who's not running the beta, it says connection failed. And of course, for me, I am running the beta, and so I still have access to walkie-talkie. But you
don't have access to people that are not also on the beta.
Exactly. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. That beta always ruining our code. Actually, at first when iOS 13 first came out, my iClouds were just not syncing. So my Mac running Catalina and my iPad running 13, all of my pictures that I took on either, screenshots that I took on either of those, were immediately showing up in those versions. But if I switched over to Mojave or 12, they just weren't there. And so I'd take a screenshot on my beta. This was the developer beta, and it was the first day, by the way. So it all worked itself out. But at first, I would take a screenshot on my iOS 13 device, and then I'd be running Mojave, and I'm like, and I'd have to switch over to Catalina because I split my drive, and so I can have them both on the same computer, and then I have to switch over to Catalina just so that I could access the pictures. Like, it was such a
my
pain.
goodness, yeah.
So yeah, the betas, when you're running betas, it's such a pain in the behind if you're using it as your daily driver. And again, don't do it. But obviously, Micah, you went for it.
Oh, I went for it. Yeah. And it's this thing that where I'll always say, do as I say, not as I do, because it's not a good idea, but I can't help it. Although I did wait, I let someone go before me, or a few people go before me. And that once I heard, okay, it's okay, then I hopped on. Yeah. So,
I've actually been was it 5 or 4 that it had a problem right out of the gate, and a bunch of people had to send in their Apple Watches to get fixed because the beta wasn't working.
Oh yeah. Yes, I do.
You were just so lucky that you had updated like right during the time when it was working. So you got through. You were okay. But
I was close though.
Ever since that time, I've been a little bit worried about doing the Apple Watch beta because of that specific thing of like, maybe I should wait like an hour or
exactly at least
sure.
one day. And I waited like 2 weeks to do the watchOS beta. I went ahead and updated my phone because I could just roll it back. I've got the backups and iPad and everything. But with Watch, no, once you do it, you've done it. Well, you've done it now. And so of course I wanted to wait and see that it would be okay to do.
So betas are fun and they're dangerous, so be careful.
I'm actually really excited for 13 on the phone. I'm like, when is it gonna be here? I really want it so badly.
I can't believe what I'm hearing, Georgia. You never update.
Never update.
I'm so surprised to hear that you're excited about.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited. And interestingly, I have a small update regret story, if I can just throw it in.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I have an app I love. I'm practicing French. I live in Montreal, but my vocabulary is a little bit weak, so I wanted to practice it. And I love this app. It's called Reverso Translate and Learn. And it's wonderful. Whatever you look up as the dictionary, then it has a little quiz and a learning section and a practice session for those words. And I love it. I actually thought about going into subscription for it, but it was relatively expensive. And I don't like being like how they kind of, if you forget to stop, you're kind of back in for the entire cycle. And I'm like, I'd rather pay a set fee and just give you one price and then I have it. Anyway, so I've been using it for a really long time. Love it. Everything's going smoothly. I get some ads. I'm like, that's all cool. I decide I update. I went back. Micah asked me about Candy Crush, and I went back to Candy Crush. Thank you, Micah. Gateway
You're so welcome. Happy to help.
and so I went, my Reverso is also asking to update, and it says it's gonna be better. And I don't update any of my apps for the reason that I went into. I updated it, and then I go to do my little practice test, and it says, you can't practice anymore unless you sign in.
What?
And I went,
sign in how?
Sign in with Google, Facebook, or with them themselves. And and it wouldn't let me practice, wouldn't let me learn, wouldn't let me.
What?
And it was like the Ember Mug thing that Micah was talking about, where before the update, you didn't need to have any kind of account. And then suddenly you updated and they were asking, and sounds like
I read it. I read what was in the update. I actually read it. And I was so angry. I actually sent out a little email to the first.
In French, you sent it.
Oh yeah. Yes. Very, my beautiful French. I was so upset because I felt like bait and switch, that if you told me that I was going to have to sign in and get features for it, I would not have done it. And now I'm forced to. And they wrote back actually really sweetly, because I'm like, I can't believe you did this. And it's a great app. It's a wonderful, wonderful, if you want a dictionary app, it's a great app. It has great features and you get to practice it. And they're like, oh, you can always subscribe and you don't have to, blah, blah, blah. We do this for subscription or whatever. I don't know.
Right, but then,
so they didn't fix anything then for you.
Yeah, that you
they
still
didn't fix anything at all. I still can't use it. But when iOS 13 comes here, I can sign in with Apple and I don't have to worry. And so,
So actually that brings up a good point / question. I can't even remember what it was, but there was something new I had never signed up for. And it offered sign in for Google, Facebook, or to create your own account with them. Obviously we don't have Apple sign in yet. So I went ahead and signed up for it. But Georgia, it sounds like you purposefully, intentionally have chosen not to sign in or create an account for this particular app. But you're waiting. And when iOS 13 comes out, you'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
because I trust Apple being able to curate what information you get through the sign in. And so I feel comfortable with that. And, and I thought about even paying for the service, because I do use it and I want us to, that's where maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should it's an app I use and I really do love it. Maybe I'm in the wrong. I was angry at the time, but maybe I should be, it's not very expensive. It's like $3 a month, or I think $12.99 for a year. It's not that expensive to be able to support an app that you're doing. And so maybe I'm in the wrong. My rant was like, maybe I should be actually just supporting them, and that would then change it. But then do I have to support them and sign up? Because then I was like, if I have to do that, now I'm going to be angrier. So now I'm like, I'm just going to wait. I'm making my own flashcards by hand with a pen and pencil.
Like an animal, or a high school student.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm going to do. I only add like 10 words a day to my vocabulary anyways. So what does it matter? I can do 10 flashcards.
Would you right now, if there was a new service that popped up that you were interested in, you hadn't actually used it yet, but there was a lot of buzz about it, and it offered Facebook or Google or signing up with your email account, would you postpone, or would you go for it right now?
Well, I'll use Harry Potter Wizards Unite as an example. You had to either, I think it was Facebook or Google, and I wanted to use the service, and I don't have a Facebook account, so I just signed in with my Gmail account. So I guess, the short answer is yes. But I think it depends on what the service is and what it's doing, like especially with, I don't know, there's something about the, you're talking about like a dictionary and that kind of behavioral stuff. I understand the concern about them being able to tie what you're learning to you based on your email and wherever else your email might be used. That does feel a little creepy. And when I think about Harry Potter Wizards Unite, this is a game that is incredibly reliant on GPS. And so those tie-ins are kind of creepy. And so, yes, I would, but I don't think that it's necessarily the right thing to do.
If you had the sign in with Apple as your other option, that would have been your go-to.
That would have been the one that I would have chosen. And I know that friend of the show, friend of us, Aline Sims, she was not going to sign up for Harry Potter Wizards Unite because of the Google and Facebook thing. And I think she ended up caving and doing it. But at first she was like, well, then I guess I just have to wait. Like, I can't play this game until, and this is why I think that at the end of the day, these sites should have the either a completely skip sign up option or a just sign up with your email option, where it's not that sort of single factor login type thing where it's tied to some account. because I'm always like looking for that button that says, oh no, I don't want to log in with Google. I don't want to log in with Twitter. I don't want to log in with Facebook. I want to just put in my email, make my own password, and use that as the only thing. But a lot of sites or a lot of apps and services don't want to, and I understand it's a big project to code in, password management and reset your password and account stuff. And so I get why sites offer why these different services offer that login with blank, because it means less work for them. But I would prefer to be able to create an account if that's what's necessary to be able to play the game. And with something like Harry Potter Wizards Unite, it makes sense. They need some way to attach me to the things that I've won and gathered in the game. But for your thing that you're talking about, why can't that just be saved locally? Like, why does that have to be something that, Georgia, that it needs to be attached to some server somewhere? Because it's local progress that you're making. So you'd think they'd be able to just save it right there on your device. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm probably gonna go through with it if it's something that I really want to do.
Yeah. So in my situation, I can't even remember what it was now, but this was just like 3 days ago or 4 days ago. And it was something that you needed to, excuse me, you needed to sign up for an account. And I was like, oh, too bad there's no single or Apple sign-on yet. Enter. I used my email address. I didn't have to use Google or Facebook sign in, but just that presented itself to me, and I went, nah. and I went for it. So it is interesting to hear, Georgia, that you're actually postponing signing up for a service or like kind of giving your email address away like that. You're waiting until iOS 13 to actually do that. And I wonder how many more people out there know that it's coming and are, sort of intentionally putting off getting any new accounts because they know that they can use Apple sign in the fall.
I think I'm going to be like one of the only ones, is my thought. maybe there's others out there, but like it all depends on how much you want to use the service. If this was something, if I was in school and I needed to practice and that would increase my grade, then probably it would outweigh my privacy and data. And I would be like, then maybe I'll go in, or maybe I would have subscribed, but then I think I have to then sign in again with an account.
Well, tell us how it goes when it finally happens.
Yes.
We're winding down a little bit.
And it's a great app. Try it out. It's a great app.
And what's it called again?
It's called Reverso.
Okay.
Yeah, Reverso Translate and Learn. It's a blue, white, and red little icon with 2 arrows, and it's really good. So, like, I do want to support great apps, and it's a great app and very thoughtful app, but it's the same reason that I stopped Duolingo, actually.
Really? You were asked to sign in?
Duolingo became kind of intrusive, and I don't know. It got away from being cute and became kind of gamifying the system too much, and I went,
Yeah. Before we continue, Micah, you might have something that you would like to let us know about.
I would love to. Folks, this week's episode of the iMore Show is sponsored by our pals at Wix. Now, if you don't know what Wix is, a very easy way to check that out is by going to imorepodcast.com, because Wix helps you create a professional website all by yourself. There are more than 140 million people that are using Wix for their website, and you can get started and publish for free. Now, there are so many different templates that you can choose from. You can start from scratch if you'd like to. You can literally change and customize anything and everything that you put in there, but they make it easy to sort of build from tools that they have available. Now, really importantly is the fact that if you build a site, but no one can find it, does it really exist? On the internet, not so much. And that is why you want to use Wix's SEO tools. They help you get found by search engines like Google and Bing. And Wix has an SEO whiz that helps you get all of the necessary information plugged in and charging, as it were. Wix is awesome for another feature. And this is what I want to talk about specifically, because imorepodcast.com, I made that site in like 12 minutes. And that is because I used Wix ADI. ADI stands for Artificial Design Intelligence. it asked me a few questions of the site that I wanted to create. And I said, okay, yes, it's going to be a site for a podcast. I want it to be, easy to access, blah, 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 blah. And then it asked me to upload a photo of the logo. I uploaded the photo. It did all of its magical calculations. It spit out a site, and it spit out a color palette based on the logo that I gave it, so that all of the text was already figured out. Everything was ready to go, and it was super simple to create. And in fact, Mizzy is a huge fan of iMorePodcast.com. She goes there every day. Isn't that right? For the listeners of the podcast, I just put my dog on the screen and pretended like she goes to a website, which is just a joke. If you are a bit of a control freak, which I can be for sure, then you're going to want to check out Wix Code, because it lets you create a website without limits. That means you can build advanced web applications and robust websites, and it's serverless and hassle-free coding. So do it the super simple way with Wix ADI, or dig in deep with Wix Code. That is what Wix allows you to do. Now you can get started by going to Wix.com. That's Wix.com/podcast to get 10% off. Woo! Wix.com/podcast for 10% off. Thank you so much, Wix, for sponsoring this week's episode of The iMore Show.
Thank you very much, Micah. That was quite lovely. And I just went to the iMorePodcast.com. It was pretty nice. Yeah. I can't believe you did that in 12 minutes.
Yeah, if that.
That's pretty good. Gonna have to create a podcast for no reason, a website for no reason, just to test it out, because it seems pretty easy to do. I like it. Have you ever been in fact, I think both of you might have done this with Mobile Nations, been in a group presentation where you had to use Zoom?
Oh, not in a group presentation, or maybe, yes, probably. But one of the podcast networks that I'm on uses Zoom pretty exclusively. And so I know a lot of people who use that application, particularly when we're playing Dungeons and Dragons on the internet.
Yeah.
You're just like, yes.
Yeah, that was the first time that I used Zoom. I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I was like,
oh, okay.
How does it work?
How does it work? How do I sign in? How do I get through it? And it was pretty seamless.
Yeah.
So actually, that's interesting that you would even talk about that. That Zoom does make it very easy for you to get started using it. You download, when you go to the site, when somebody says, join me for this group call using Zoom, and then you go to the website and you click it, and they say, we're going to install this app on your Mac. I actually have no idea how it works on PC, but I do know on Mac, it'll install this program on your Mac that will pop up the presentation screen, and it is very seamless and works very nice. But it's weird. I wouldn't even call this like a security flaw or a vulnerability so much as Zoom did this intentionally for making things easier for people to use. So when it installs the client onto your Mac, it makes it easy every time somebody sends you a link to a Zoom conference. It just pops that little app up and says, hey, you just clicked on the Zoom link. Do you want to join this call? But it could potentially be dangerous because, let's see, specifically, I want to make sure that I'm using the wording right. Oh, it allows any malicious website to enable your camera without your permission. Mm-hmm. The flaw potentially exposes up to 750,000 companies around the world that use Zoom to conduct day-to-day business. So what that means is that if you could be visiting a website that you think is Amazon, I think it'd be difficult to spoof Amazon, but let's pretend. And you click on, I like this product, so I'm going to click on it real quick. And instead of taking you to the product page, Zoom pops up. And the thing that Zoom allows you to do is, by default, when the first time you set it up, you can say, always turn on my camera so that whenever I use Zoom, it automatically pops up my camera. I don't have to do any work. It just does it. So by setting that default, anybody that whenever you click on any link that will take you to Zoom, it will automatically pop up your camera. So a malicious website could then potentially trick you into clicking on a spoofed Zoom link that it would then be able to get into your access your camera that way. A couple of things happened over time. First, Zoom had said, this isn't a threat as a security flaw. This is actually, intentional, which I can definitely see. And then they kind of backtracked and said, okay, we get it. We hear you. This is a bad idea and you're scared. So we're going to roll out a patch. And they did, and that you could download. And then following up with that, a few days after that, or maybe just the next day, Apple actually rolled out its own update to macOS that removes the client
server, right?
The local server. So another thing that I forgot to mention before is that even if you delete the Zoom app, because I've actually personally done that, I would go get into a Zoom presentation, and after that was over, I thought, well, I don't need Zoom anymore, so I'm just going to delete the app.
Right.
And then it's actually still there. So the idea, again, Zoom, I don't think meant anything ill by doing this. The idea is that, oh, I had deleted the app. Now I have to go download it and I'm about to jump into this presentation. Nope, you don't have to do it. You click on the link and Zoom is like, hey, we're still here and we can still pop that camera up for you.
Even though you uninstalled us, we're still here.
Yeah. Again, I don't think that their intent was malicious, but I don't think that they thought through what that means to us as the user.
And that's why we love to say it's impact, not intention, that matters.
And that was a beautiful way of letting us know about that, by the way.
Thank you.
So what Apple did in order to help Zoom, it sounds like Zoom's actually said, thank you. Thank you that we're very glad that we got to work with Apple on this. Apple just went ahead and just sent out an update. It's like a secret update that we didn't even know about. I'm not sure how this works.
So does it install automatically?
It installs this update automatically that will actually just remove the local server from your Mac. So yeah, that's it. That was the in and out. Zoom, they're obviously working on some changes to the way they use this app so that people in the future can download it and feel comfortable with what they have, and when they delete it, it will actually delete and not just have the local server remain. Interestingly, though, I did want to bring this up. I know we're running out of time, but yesterday on my Mac, I was somebody had sent me an email, or a text message. And in that text message, it was something like, I think it was actually you have an appointment, don't forget, if you have a problem, you can call us. So it was I somehow accidentally clicked on the phone number that was in it. And on my Mac, I had handoff turned off. So I'm not able to make phone calls on my Mac on this one right now, but Zoom popped up. That was very bizarre. That's never happened to me before, although I don't think I've ever accidentally clicked on a phone number in a text message before. But I thought, that's interesting. Just out of the blue, I clicked. It was a phone number. It was not a Zoom link. It was a phone number. And it was like, hey, do you want to start a meeting in Zoom?
That's weird.
Yeah. It's sort of like, like a little, like some
little cautionary tale.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. This has been another episode of the iMore show. I think actually our next episode is going to be a spooky one. We internally have times numbers for each of our episodes, and we are currently at 665. So our next episode will be the spooky episode. I just love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
Thank you for joining us on the show. We've had a wonderful time chatting, and hope that you had a wonderful time listening to us goof off. Micah Sargent, if people want to find you on the internets, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me at Micah Sargent on pretty much any social media thing that exists. And if I'm not there yet, I soon will be. You can also head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUA.coffee for links to all the things I do. And last but not least, you can find me co-hosting iOS Today and Tech News Weekly over on the Twit Network.
Congratulations.
Yay! Thank you.
Georgia Dow, if people want to find you on the interwebs, where can they find you?
If you're dealing with anxiety and depression, you can check out anxiety-videos.com. And I am every once in a while on Twitter at Georgia_Dow.
Like maybe once every 6 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like
you
that.
Pop in,
if there's
you blast everybody.
If there's a blue moon in the sky, Georgia's on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
If
Life
Renee
has
Ricci...
only been better out, actually. I don't really miss it.
I totally understand. If Renee Ricci were here, he would tell you that you could find him at Renee Ricci on Twitter and you could find, if Renee Ricci were here, he'd tell you that you could find him at Renee Ricci on Twitter and at iMore shows at imore.com/vector or YouTube/vector, where you can find all of his amazing videos about technology, Apple analysis, and all that kind of stuff. And if you're looking for me on the interwebs, you can find me at Appleholik on Twitter. That's APPAHOLIK, and at Lori Gill at most other social things. One more time, thank you to everybody who listens to us. We really appreciate you. We love that you support us and that you come back every week and listen to us. And thank you to Jim Wensendorf for making us sound as good as we do. And I apologize to you, Jim, right now for all of the banging that's been going on today. I hope that you don't hate me and aren't throwing darts at a voodoo doll of me right now as we finish up the show.
Be the cutest doll.
It would, yeah.
Thanks, everybody. It's been a great job.
Goodbye.